dog. What, named after the dog?
Welcome to the Nation of Jake on The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Yes, have some.
Yes, have some.
All right, welcome to it, the Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. We're online, KWAMTheVoice.com. Streaming live on YouTube, the YouTube channel Nation of Jake. Also on Facebook and Twitter at Nation of Jake as the calendar turns to Thursday, August 1st, year of our Lord 2019, partly cloudy, 88 degrees. High in the low 90s today in our East Memphis studios. Not in the studio, but in the outside part of the studio. Those are the temperatures. Inside, it's like 70, 72. Got to keep the equipment cool. Got to keep comfortable. Everybody's having a good time here on the first day of August so far. August means Tiger football will be starting up before you know it. And don't let football throw you off. Every time I go to the Liberty Bowl for a football game, I'm always like, oh yeah, it's football time. It's time for some long sleeves and some jeans, maybe a jacket. And I go out there, I'm like, holy crap, it's 95 degrees. The hottest I've been in recent memory was at that UCLA game a couple years ago. UCLA came to town, the Tigers beat them, it was great. But I got the farmer tan from hell. It was a farmer burn. And that was one of the hottest days ever. No cloud cover to speak of. I probably would have been better off wearing a long sleeve shirt that day. I got toasted and roasted. So you got Tiger football coming up in a few weeks. You got back to school. Just 12 days from now, my kids will be back in school. And I got a little one starting kindergarten, so everybody's really excited about that. And also more butt sweat. You know, August means humidity. It means heat. And butt sweat comes along with all that. So don't get too excited about fall. It's a false fall. It's a false autumn coming after us. Well into September. That's when you got to break out the hoodies. So we'll talk about the September weather when that comes along. But for now, August 1st. We'll spend a fair amount of time on last night's Democrat debate there, the second night of two on CNN up in Detroit. But what about the mayoral debates? We got the Battle Mayoral coming up in fewer than 60 days, about 2 months away from the October 3rd city elections here in Memphis. You got city council seats up for grabs, and you got the Memphis mayorship. Is that it? The mayorship? The Battle Mayoral. You got Jim Strickland.
Mr. Strickland.
Willie Harrington, Tammy Sawyer, and you got a host of other candidates like Prince Mongo and Terrence Boyce and Sharon Webb. And all these other people running. If they do a debate, I want to hear from everybody. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. It's also Shark Week. Man, I let it get all the way to Thursday of Shark Week before we talked about Shark Week here on the program, which is odd because I live every week like it's Shark Week. And that may be why I've been so derelict in my duty to bring up Shark Week. My kids and I, after the debate got a little bit too boring, they begged me, said, Daddy, can we please watch Shark Week now? And I said, hell yes. Because I'm a father, and I've got to steer my kids in the right direction. Always, during Shark Week, Discovery Channel is the right direction. Racist robots. We've got some racist robots. As if all those robot videos you see of robots opening doors or doing backflips or fighting weren't scary enough. I did not know these robots are racist as well. A.C. Slater, Mario Lopez from Extra, he's got a radio show, most famously played A.C. Slater in Saved by the Bell. He's in a whole heap of trouble. We'll get into what's up with A.C. Slater in a bit. And Ron Hart, nationally syndicated columnist, will check in with us. We'll talk a little bit about this interest rate cut by the Fed. We'll talk about the debates last night a little bit, and also about the aftermath of the Mueller hearings. I've not been hearing much about the Mueller hearings since last week. It's just kind of like a dead issue at this point. And we'll also get to all the latest headlines in the news cruise. That said, the debate last night. Everybody likes to run down the debates, the winners and the losers. All right, in the macro, before we go into the actual candidate field last night with the debates on CNN. Overall, you have to feel pretty good if you're Donald Trump in 2020 as the incumbent president. Because over the 2 nights, there was not one candidate who really stood out as somebody who could beat Donald Trump straight up in a general election. Now, mind you, these primary debates in a primary election way different than a general. I mean, in a general election, you were just kind of fighting for that sliver of people who are undecided. Now, in a primary debate, it's wide open. So Donald Trump, the big winner from these 2 nights of debates, and then also the big loser, like the biggest loser at least last night. It was not Kamala Harris, and it was not Kirsten Gillibrand, although they were losers. The biggest loser was President Barack Obama. All they did all night was crap all over that man's legacy. Really, we're talking about one of the most liberal presidents in history was President Barack Obama. Definitely the most liberal lawmaker to seek and then hold the office. And this guy, they were taking it to Obamacare. They were destroying the signature legislation, the signature achievement, the legacy of President Obama was Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, a.k.a. Obamacare. It was named after him. For all intents and purposes, the official name is not Obamacare, but remember, it was referred to as Obamacare until it got really unpopular. And then they were like, don't call it Obamacare, call it the ACA. Even Barack Obama tried to distance himself from his own signature healthcare legislation. And last night, there were guys like Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, all of them, they started off with healthcare again. And they were talking about how broken the healthcare system is. A decade ago, it was supposedly fixed. Not only the healthcare stuff, they also beat down Obama's immigration policy. Yeah, because all the problems on the border, these aren't problems that Donald Trump has created. It's not even really President Obama. But President Obama deported a lot of people. He separated children from families. There were a lot of these camps. A lot of the photos that you see on the border of kids being separated and wrapped in those like tinfoil thermal blanket things, a lot of those photos come from the Obama administration. 2015, 2014. So he took a beating on his immigration policy. I mean, to the point where there were some pundits like Joe Scarborough over at MSNBC and his wife Mika, Joe and Mika on the Morning Joe. They were flipping out. They were saying, what are you guys doing? Brzezinski, Mika, tweeted, apparently Barack Obama is running for a 3rd term and fellow Democrats are out in force to stop him while Donald Trump watches happily from the White House. Scarborough, the Morning Joe himself, he says that some candidates portrayed Obama as more heartless than Donald Trump on immigration. He argued that Obama and Obamacare remained wildly popular with the party's voters and criticized Democrats for deriding criticism of their far-left positions as Republican talking points. He says, give me a break. What's wrong with you people? You're going up against Donald Trump and you're talking about defending Obamacare as Republican talking points? Who's advising you? So even the liberal media, so to speak, they're like, what are you guys doing? Crapping all over Obama. So not a good night for the legacy of Barack Obama. Then you get into the specifics. Let's start. Joe Biden, all he had to do was get up there and not fumble. He just had to protect the football. He's the front runner, but they were going to go after him the most. He was the biggest target, and he had his good moments, and he had his bad moments. But overall, he did just enough to cement his front runner status, at least until the next debates, right? He did not have that moment you're like, oh no, it's all over for Joe Biden. Now, Kamala Harris, we move over one, I guess to his right. Kamala Harris had a real bad night, and expectations were higher because she was the one who had a strong first debate. She was the winner there next to Joe Biden. She called him a racist, essentially, and she had her moment. So everybody was like, oh, we're looking for Kamala Harris. She's that rising star. She had a bad night. Joe Biden took her to task for her health care plan that she seems like she has no idea how it's going to work. Michael Bennet, senator from Colorado, jumped in a little bit. By the way, he sounds like he got a tranquilizer dart in the neck. He does when he speaks. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. You're a crazy man. You know, from old school when Will Ferrell took the tranquilizer from Stifler. So that's what he sounds like, but he was all over her about her health care plan, so she did not look good on that. And then Tulsi Gabbard gets in, and we're going to listen to the clips here in a minute. Tulsi Gabbard, by the way, from Hawaii, representative from Hawaii. She served in Afghanistan, and she is a really nice-looking lady. At the risk of seeming sexist, she's a solid 7. Like, she's a lady I would see at the gym and say, wow, she's really pretty, but you put her on a stage with the 2020 candidates, and she's damn Miss America. All right, she got into Kamala Harris's record as a prosecutor, and it was not a good moment for her. We're going to listen to that in a few minutes. Cory Booker got up there, didn't embarrass himself, even though I cringe whenever the guy speaks because he's a complete phony. Kirsten Gillibrand probably was the biggest loser of the night. She should just go ahead and pack it in. She's polling at 0, and she got straight up embarrassed by Joe Biden. That was not a good look for Kirsten Gillibrand, however she wants to say it. Her Gillibrand was damaged last night. Julian Castro, it's kind of like, who cares? You know, a little Hervey Villachez looking guy. He's probably a smart fellow, but he just doesn't really strike me as a guy who's going to be elected president. And then the other guys don't matter. Michael Bennet, tranquilizer dart guy. Andrew Yang, all the guys screamed about was his $1,000 a month universal basic income. Any question directed at Andrew Yang, he went back to $1,000 a month. It's kind of like, he might as well be that Matthew Lesko guy. He should dress up in a suit with dollar signs all over it and just go out there and say $1,000 a month, because that's all he's got is his universal basic income. He's like the Herman Cain back in 2012. Herman Cain came up with this idea to have a 9% federal sales tax, a 9% income tax, and a 9% corporate tax, and all Herman Cain did was say 999. 999. They would ask Herman Cain about foreign policy. He says, well, I was talking to the president of Uzbekistan, and I told him about 999. That's Andrew Yang in 2019. Seems like a smart guy. I know that he's been successful in business, and that's where he should stay. And then Bill de Blasio, go away. He's just up there. Honestly, Bill de Blasio, mayor of New York, because he hates being the mayor of New York, and New Yorkers hate him too. So he figures he'll run for president, so he just can leave New York and go to places like Detroit and debate. This guy, nobody likes him. I guarantee you he has 0 real friends. He has people who are nice to him because he's the mayor of New York, but outside of that, nobody is going to go visit Bill de Blasio on his front porch when he's an old man. Not even his kids. They don't even like him. And then Jay Inslee, former governor of Washington State, whose main thing is climate change. He's the climate change candidate. So he's hoping that is going to be the deciding factor for anyone and everyone who is looking for a candidate that doesn't vote for Trump. He just wants to be the climate change guy. So that's kind of his niche. So there you have it. I mean, that was kind of the debate in a nutshell. Donald Trump's your big winner. Barack Obama, who's not running for president, you're a big loser. And I got some, the clips are great, though. I do want to go through some of the clips. I mean, what gets people excited about candidates versus what they actually say it's intriguing, to say the least. But we've got some of the highlights and lowlights of the Democrat presidential debate from last night, and we'll get into those next right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
When's the last time you looked at the windows in your house? Not through the windows, but at the windows. Really looked at them. There's dirt, streaks, buildup, smudges, fingerprints, paw prints, spider webs, dead bugs. There's little white speckles. I have no idea what they are, and who knows what else. Now, cleaning all the windows in your house makes a big difference, but it's also a big job. That's why you need Just Windows Home Services. Just Windows has been taken taken the pain out of window cleaning since 1992. Just Windows cleans all types of windows, storm windows, screens, skylights, interior, exterior, upstairs and down. Now, I know I told you the company is called Just Windows Home Services, but they do a lot more. Roof and gutter cleaning, pressure washing, mirrors, blinds, ceiling fans, light fixtures, chandeliers. Look, if you've got hard to reach areas of the house, then you need Just Windows Home Services. Call for a free estimate, 751-3934. That's 751-3934, or get them online at justwindowsmemphis.com. That's justwindowsmemphis.com.
If you're a baby boomer here in the Mid-South area, this message is for you. We've designed a brand new radio show with you in mind. It's The Retirement Income Doctor, hosted by Dave McAdams of the McAdams Group. Each week, Dave will teach you retirement strategies that have worked year after year, decade after decade, in any kind of market. That's right, the Retirement Income Doctor will teach you these strategies. So join us Saturday mornings at 10 for the Retirement Income Doctor.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Free Talk Live.
I wanted to run some new ideas I had past you guys.
Okay, cool. We'll be your sounding board there, Prez.
Ice cream day.
I love Ice Cream Day. It's awesome. We should have Ice Cream Month and different flavors, just like Baskin Robbins.
Every Friday, Americans get free ice cream.
Now, I don't know about that. Now, wait a minute.
From where, George? Ice Cream Angel's going to bring it down?
Free Talk Live, Sunday through Friday nights on KWAM, The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back.
Yes, have some.
The Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990, online, KWAMTheVoice.com, streaming live on YouTube, the YouTube channel, very easy, Nation of Jake, one word, Nation of Jake, run it all together, also on Facebook, and we're on the Twitter. Now, the Twitter is where I was last night while I was watching the first half of the Democrat debate on CNN, and I kind of had the same observations as a lot of other people. Number one, during these debates, I'm really sick of these candidates telling me about their parents. All right, the United States of America is a great and special place because it doesn't matter who your parents are. It doesn't matter if your parents were wealthy. It doesn't matter if your parents were poor. It doesn't matter if your parents were immigrants. It's about you. It's all founded on individual rights. Go out and make your own way. Now, they always try to give you context. Oh, I grew up poor. I did this. I did this. And because of this country, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. Unless your parents were in Van Halen, I don't care who your parents were. All right, and there's very few people who can say their parents were in Van Halen. We're talking about Wolfgang, and it's probably it. I don't know anybody else in Van Halen who even has children. So until Wolfgang Van Halen, Wolfie, runs for president, no candidates are allowed to talk about their parents anymore. Can we just make that rule? So they all did that. They all got up. They made their opening statements. You got 10 people on stage. They're each giving opening statements. It took like 20 minutes. What? So we'll start with some of these clips. Now, they're saying that Cory Booker had a good night. Cory Booker, the governor of New Jersey, or senator now. He was the mayor of Newark, and then Senator Cory Booker. They say he had a good night, that he didn't hurt himself. They say that he is a talented politician with natural gifts. I find the guy to be a complete and total phony. All right, every time I look at Cory Booker, I'm like, does he have a lazy eye? I don't know. I'm not prepared to call his eye lazy, but I will say that one of his eyes does not have the sense of urgency the other does. Let's just put it that way. Won't go far. Just call it lazy. But this guy, he rubs me the wrong way. Here's a clip of Cory Booker going after Joe Biden, as many of the candidates were going after the frontrunner last night.
Thanks. First of all, Mr. Vice President, you can't have it both ways. You invoke President Obama more than anybody in this campaign. You can't do it when it's convenient and then dodge it when it's not. And the second thing, and this really irks me because I heard the Vice President say that, if you got a PhD, you can come right into this country. Well, that's playing into what the Republicans want, to pit some immigrants against other immigrants. Some are from shithole.
Oh, man, that is a clip that I thought he was going to bring up his Kool-Aid. His whole Kool-Aid thing. He told Joe Biden that he was dipping into the Kool-Aid and didn't know the flavor. And that was the wrong clip there. But, he brought up the whole Obama thing. He said, hey, Joe Biden, you can't use the Obama legacy to your advantage when it's convenient for you and then distance yourself from it. You can't have it both ways. And so that was a little bit of Barack Obama getting crapped on at the debate last night. One of the first things that Cory Booker said was that here CNN is trying to pit Democrats against each other. And I thought to myself, Cory, my man, it's a debate. You were on stage to debate these people. Yes, they happen to all be Democrats because it's a Democrat debate. So yeah, that's the name of the game. You want to differentiate yourself and you want to stand out. So yes, you're going to have to debate against one another. Donald Trump's not on the stage, Cory Booker. So, he didn't have a bad night. And at this point, you're looking for your top performers versus your bottom half. And then there's the people who don't matter. Now, Joe Biden, he had a really good start to the debate. Joe Biden, he went after Kamala Harris because she went after him last time. And so Joe Biden, he kind of took her apart on her health care plan that she didn't seem to know how in the holy hell it was going to work.
$1,000 deductible and never have to pay more than 8.5% of their income when they do it. And if they don't have any money, they get in free. So this idea is a bunch of malarkey, what we're talking about here. The fact of the matter is that there will be a deductible. It will be a deductible in their paycheck. Bernie acknowledges it. $30 trillion has to ultimately be paid. And I don't know what math you do in New York. I don't know what math you do in California. But I tell you, that's a lot of money. And there will be a deductible. The deductible will be out of your paycheck because that's what will be required.
Senator Harris, I want to bring you in here. Your response?
Yeah, let's talk about math. Let's talk about the fact that the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies last year alone profited $72 billion. And that is on the backs of American families. And under your plan, status quo, you do nothing to hold the insurance companies to task for what they have been doing to American families. In America today, a diabetes patient, 1 in 4 cannot afford their insulin. In America today,
Thank you, Senator.
For those people who are overdosed from an opioid, there is a syringe that costs $4,000 that will save their life. It is immoral, it is untenable, and it must change with Medicare for all.
Vice President Biden, your response?
Real quick. I have the only plan that limits the ability of insurance companies to charge unreasonable prices. Flat out, number one.
All right, there you go. So he goes back and forth with Kamala Harris. She just looked flustered the whole time, and that wasn't even the worst part of it. All right, Kamala Harris, she's known as a cop. Kamala's a cop. That's a big diss if you're a Democrat, is to be called a cop. Because if you remember, Kamala Harris was the district attorney or attorney general of California. She worked up in Northern California, San Francisco. She really enforced a lot of drug laws and put a lot of people in jail. And then she turns around, she says she's for the decriminalization of marijuana. All right, well, Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, by the way, looked great in that white pantsuit last night. She destroyed Kamala Harris in that debate. And I don't think that Kamala Harris, polling at the 7-8%, I don't think she's going to recover from this.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
All right, that is getting wrecked. Because here's the thing about Kamala Harris. She couldn't refute any of it. She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana. Then she turns around and goes on a radio show up in New York City, and they ask her if she ever smoked pot. And she says, oh, of course, I'm Jamaican. Of course I smoke pot. And she laughed about it, talking about listening to Tupac in college, which was before Tupac even hit it big, right? Before he even had anything out. Tupac was probably still dancing the Humpty Dance with Digital Underground while Kamala Harris was in college smoking pot, right? Then she turns around and puts a bunch of people in jail. She worked against decriminalizing marijuana where she was and continued to put people in jail. But now it's politically expedient. She's fine with weed. Tell that to all the people you locked up and all their families for years and years and years. And then the other things are even more damning. Tulsi Gabbard brings up that she blocked evidence that would have exonerated a death row inmate. And she didn't allow that evidence to come out until she was forced to by the courts. That is insane. Where is that story today? That should be front page news. But it's not. But none of it, she refutes none of it. Kamala Harris is like, oh yeah, and then she tried to dismiss Tulsi Gabbard as somebody who wasn't even polling, at 1 or 2% or whatever. It's like, that doesn't make it untrue what she said just because nobody knows who Tulsi Gabbard is. Now they know who Tulsi Gabbard is. She was the hot chick in the debate last night. Now, probably the biggest takedown, the biggest. I mean, this is awful. If you were Kirsten Gillibrand, all right, you're probably having some trouble standing out anyway. You're not polling very well. Nobody really cares about you. You don't have a thing. All right, well, she tries to go with this feminism thing. And so she calls out Joe Biden at one point in the debate from an op-ed that Joe Biden wrote like back in 1981. Again, Joe Biden has been in government for 40 plus years or more, and this dude has been on every side of every issue. So she brings up something that he wrote in like 1981 about women in the workplace and how it could lead to the breakdown of the American family if women were to get out in the workplace. All right, which is kind of an odd stance to have. You're talking about the early 80s. Women were working. Women were going out in the workplace. Hell, the movie Mr. Mom was all about a mom going in the workplace, 9 to 5, women in the workplace. So this stuff was going on. But she also telegraphed it, and Joe Biden was ready for it. He was ready for it, and he just took her down with this. Check it out.
Very beginning, my deceased wife worked, but we had children. My present wife has worked all the way through raising our children. The fact of the matter is, the situation is one that I don't know what's happened. I wrote the Violence Against Women Act, Lilly Ledbetter. I was deeply involved in making sure the equal pay amendments. I was deeply involved in all these things. I came up with the It's On Us proposal to see to it that women were treated more decently on college campuses. You came to Syracuse University with me and said it was wonderful. I'm passionate about the concern, making sure women are treated equally. I don't know what's happened except that you're now running for president.
So I understand.
Boom.
Mr. Vice President.
Boom. I mean, what he's saying essentially is here's like, you were with me and you said that I was doing great, that I was great on these issues, but now that you're running against me, I'm all of a sudden a monster. You want to bring up something from 1981, some view that I used to have. And so it was effective. She looked very small in that exchange. Now, I got to give some respect to Joe Biden for what he was able to do there. He touts his involvement in the Violence Against Women Act while simultaneously murdering Kirsten Gillibrand, who is a woman. Those opportunities don't come up often, man. He nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. So, in short, they're all insane. They're all open borders weirdos who want to take money from you and give it to somebody else, whoever that might be. College students in debt. They want to do the Green New Deal. They're all insane. But of the night, Joe Biden did pretty well. Cory Booker did okay. Tulsi Gabbard did great. She's still not going to be president, but she did great. She also said some weird stuff, too. She's got some problems as a candidate, but she looks great. And then the big losers, Kamala Harris, Kirsten Gillibrand, and all the rest really don't matter at this point. So there's your rundown of the debate last night in case you missed it, and we're just kind of looking for it all in a nutshell. I hope I was able to help out. A mayoral debate would be nice, wouldn't it? Memphis mayoral debate. They're always fun. We'll get into that in a little bit. Also, we've got racist robots. I had no idea that robots could be racist unless they were programmed to be racist, but there's a study that says, yes, robots are probably racist. But coming up, let's check in on Mario Lopez. The great A.C. Slater from Saved by the Bell. He said some things that apparently were really controversial, and now he's in a whole heap of trouble. We'll check in with A.C. Slater, and we'll do it next right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
CBS News Update. In the Senate,
The ayes are 67, the nays are 28, and the bill is passed.
the Trump House budget deal easily clearing the Senate, avoiding a potential government shutdown in October. GOP leader Mitch McConnell.
Despite the desires of the Democratic House, the administration successfully kept far-left poison pills and policy riders entirely out of the process.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
In fact, the budget deal increases domestic budget authority $10 billion more than defense.
It also lifts the nation's debt ceiling, and that has some Republicans upset that it could mark a return to trillion-dollar-plus deficits. Kentucky's Rand Paul.
To allow the debt ceiling to go up an infinite amount, as much as Congress can possibly spend and borrow over a nearly 2-year period, is fiscally irresponsible.
CBS News Update. I'm Jim Shenlevy.
Live from Memphis, it's the Eye on Memphis show with host Betty Lamar. Eye on Memphis is wall-to-wall conversations featuring top doctors and community leaders monitoring social disparities in healthcare. Eye on Memphis with Betty Lamar on KWAM The Voice, FM 107.9 and AM 990. Saturdays at 12 noon. Sponsored in part by AM Diabetes and Endocrinology Center in Bartlett.
You and your friends and associates are invited to attend the Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair, Thursday, September 19th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Brown Missionary Baptist Church, located at 7200 Swinia Road in South Haven, Mississippi. There will be health exams, flu shots, entertainment, and this year, there'll be food trucks on site to allow you to enjoy lunch while you're there, and a demonstration on healthy living by the Silver Sneakers. The Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair is promoted by the DeSoto Times and the Best Times. Mark your calendar for September 19th. You'll be glad you did.
This is Clark Howard with a special warning for you if you have or a family or friend have a Ford Focus or Ford Fiesta. A lengthy, involved investigation by the Detroit Free Press has found that there are 1.5 million Ford Focus and Ford Fiesta models on the road with defective transmissions. These have led to a number of accidents with injuries as you lose control of the vehicle with it stalling out on a freeway or on its own going from a dead stop through an intersection, according to the research by the Detroit Free Press. Ford has not been very cooperative with people, according to the research of the Detroit Free Press, when you have a problem with it. I want you to know that you need to have the transmission properly addressed by Ford, fixed as it needs to be, so that you and your loved ones can be safe on the road.
Hey, Mike, how's the house coming along?
Needs a ton of work. The pipes are leaking. Needs a new roof. The AC just broke. I just don't have time to do it all myself. You know anyone?
Oh, just ask Home Advisor. They match you with the best local pros for any home project.
Cool.
Yeah, you can read reviews and book appointments online.
What's it cost?
Actually, Home Advisor is always free to use.
Nice. I'll check it out.
Go to HomeAdvisor.com or download the free app.
Home Advisor.
Have you heard what President Trump said recently?
Newsmax, you like Newsmax. I like it too.
Now you can watch Newsmax TV and get the truth about Trump from Bill O'Reilly, Mike Reagan, Alan Dershowitz, Pat Buchanan, and more. Newsmax TV is America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in 70 million homes. Find Newsmax on DirecTV, Dish, Xfinity, Spectrum, Optimum, Fios, Uverse, and more systems. See Newsmax TV today. It's real news for real people.
Yeah.
Yes, have some.
Welcome back to the Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. Online, KWAMTheVoice.com. Here on August 1st, back to school's coming, Tiger football is coming. In a little bit, we'll talk about the Battle Mayoral. That's also coming about 2 months, October 3rd. The citizens of Memphis will pick a new mayor or decide they want to stay with
Mayor Mr. Strickland.
Where are the debates, man? They should already be doing these debates. I mean, hell, they're doing Democrat debates for the presidency. That's not until November 2020. We are 2 months away from the Battle Mayoral. I ain't seen one debate. Not even one. And they're always a lot of fun. Watch them on Channel 5. Joe Birch and Conji Anthony are always trying to, tell the crowd to calm down and threaten people with having kicked out of the debate. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. I saw this the other day. Now, Mario Lopez, who played A.C. Slater, Albert Clifford Slater, on Saved by the Bell all those years when I was growing up. I watched that show all the time. Saved by the Bell was a staple. It was on TBS pretty much every afternoon when I got off school. So I'd watch a little bit of Saved by the Bell, have a snack, throw the ball around, and then get back in and watch Braves baseball. That was my typical afternoon when I was in middle school. All right, and we all watched Saved by the Bell. Terrible show, awful, stupid, ridiculous, dramatic, and dumb. I mean, there's so many. We could have an entire 2-hour program just on season 1 of Saved by the Bell. So Mario Lopez, who now he does a radio show. In fact, it's weird. A good buddy of mine who I worked with in Atlanta, he moved out to L.A., and he ended up as the producer for Mario Lopez's radio show. He has a show called On with Mario. I've never heard it on an actual radio, but I know that it happens because my buddy Frazier is the producer for On with Mario. So Mario Lopez hosts some stuff on Extra. He's just been kind of like your host. He played Greg Louganis in a biopic about the Olympic diver. But other than that, he really hasn't done much acting. He's just more hosting, right? Well, I guess for some reason, they asked Mario Lopez to go on one of these PragerU videos and get interviewed by Candace Owens. Candace Owens is African-American. She's a conservative, and she's a bit of a firebrand. She's like the Black Ann Coulter, which I'm not sure if that's okay to call her that or if that's racist, but it's kind of like that. She's a lightning rod. All right, so Mario Lopez goes on her podcast. He goes on this podcast with Candace Owens, and they start talking about transgender kids, okay, in Hollywood. and how there's a lot of people who are raising their kids as different genders at a very early age. And this is what Mario Lopez had to say about that.
You really can't go wrong, but at the same time, my God, if you're 3 years old and you're saying you're feeling a certain way, or you think you're a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be, I just think it's dangerous as a parent to make that determination. Then, okay, well then you're going to be a boy or a girl, whatever the case may be, and it's sort of alarming. And my gosh, I just think about the repercussions later on.
Right.
And
to me, I just see depression because when I was
all right, so he had a timid, tepid kind of take on it with parents who will listen to a 3-year-old, and if a 3-year-old who is born a boy biologically and says, I think I'm a girl. It's like, well, you're 3. You really don't have the capacity to make that determination right now. So why don't we just try to do things like master the English language, maybe some spatial skills, play with some Legos? Why don't we just work on this whole getting used to being before we start making the determination as to what gender you identify with at 3? Basically, Mario Lopez was saying, at 3, we don't really broach the subject of sexuality. I know I don't in my house. I got a 7-year-old girl and a 5-year-old girl. Both, to this point, identify as girls. And we haven't really talked about sexual stuff at all. It hasn't come up. Some questions here and there. Where do babies come from, all that kind of stuff. And we're as honest as we give them the answer they need in order to satisfy their curiosity for the time. All right? And so with what Mario Lopez said, it was really nothing wrong with it at all. He's a parent. He can have an opinion on how he would handle that situation. But, of course, it's not enough. This was done like a month ago. Like sometime in June, he did this interview. And I guess it got picked up or it resurfaced. And so then all these transgender activism groups and GLAAD, they're all over Mario Lopez. They're all over AC Slater. Saying that those comments were insensitive and ignorant, and they want to cancel AC Slater for it. I mean, what he said wasn't disrespectful. I mean, it may not be in line with what these groups think, but he's still got an opinion, right? Well, what they say, though, is that you don't bend the knee to the mob. Well, it looks like Mario Lopez has bent the knee. He apologized after making those comments, suggesting it was dangerous for parents to be supportive of a child's transition. In an issue to People magazine, Mario Lopez, AC Slater, says, the comments I made were ignorant and insensitive, and now I have a deeper understanding of how hurtful they were. And now Mario Lopez was absent from the taping of Extra, which I'm not sure when that airs around here. But no explanation was given for his absence from Extra. But they say that a lot of the folks who work on the show were upset. They were not well received by the show's producers, who issued their own statement. Mario Lopez missed the latest taping of Extra as he tried to quell the controversy over remarks he made about raising transgender children, apologizing for his comments. So maybe he had to apologize for the comments as a condition of employment with the producers of Extra. I don't know. But you can't have a conversation about anything anymore. You're not allowed to be uneasy with anything, say, that you're unfamiliar with, because you will get canceled. It's honestly, man, I was listening to it going, wow, he actually tackled a tough issue with about as much reason as you can, being somebody who might be unfamiliar with the situation. So, yeah, look, a 3-year-old comes at you. A 3-year-old girl says they'd rather be a boy. And maybe they're just saying that because, they like stuff other boys like. They like football or they like sports. They like to be rough and tumble. They're tomboys, whatever it is. But I'm not so sure that is going to be some sort of psychological or medically diagnosed kind of deal where you say, oh yeah, your son or daughter's transgender. It's like, well, why don't you just let it breathe for a while? Maybe the kid will change their mind. I mean, after all, they're 3. I know 3-year-olds who think they are fire trucks. And I know that's probably reductive, and I'm probably going to get canceled for saying that kind of stuff. But, man, a 3-year-old. I mean, how about just let them do something else? Let them watch Shark Week, maybe, like I let my 3-year-old watch Shark Week a few years ago, and now it's back. We'll talk about Shark Week in a little bit. But there's something else that is just as frightening, just as scary as sharks, maybe more so. These robots. You see these videos of robots from Boston Dynamic or whatever company are into robotics. You got robot dogs that can open doors. You got robots that can, like, break into a full sprint and do backflips and fight. Well, now we find out these robots are probably racist. We have racist killer robots that are showing themselves. And I'll tell you exactly how we found this out next, right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
I read a lot of blogs. One of my favorite blogs is in regard to the choices we make every day. I've always been a ready, fire, aim kind of guy. I like to make a quick decision and move on. However, as I've aged, I've learned that a little aiming before firing actually leads to better results. So take a minute to aim before you fire. It'll make your world a little kinder. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
Triumph Bank strives to make banking easy for our customers. You have a lot of choices when it comes to banks, so we invite you to visit one of our local offices in Memphis, Germantown, Collierville, and Arlington to see for yourself how our team, backed by our state-of-the-art online and mobile services, can simplify banking for you and your business. Triumph Bank, invested in our communities and making banking easy for you. Triumph is a member of the FDIC and an equal housing lender. TriumphBank.com. Let's talk growth.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Dan Groban and Phil Menard at Servant Advisors Group call this mailbox money. It's the monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They want to help remove stress from your retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Servant Advisors Group at 855-260-1000 for a complimentary retirement analysis with strategies that could help your nest egg provide you monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call right now, 855-260-1000. Servant Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Servant Advisors Group, LLC. Insurance licensed in Tennessee, Mississippi, and in Arkansas.
If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, stop. Don't do anything until you talk to my man, James Underwood. James Underwood has been helping people like you navigate the Mid-South real estate market for more than a decade. So whether you're looking to buy your first home or you want to upgrade to your forever home, James Underwood can help make it happen. No gimmicks, no guarantees, just a rock-solid guy that I've known for 25 years. So now, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, hit up James Underwood with CryLike. JamesUnderwood.crylike.com. That's JamesUnderwood.crylike.com. Did you know that your potential customers look at your website and determine your credibility within 8 seconds? Make sure your business reflects the quality service you provide. Contact Control Alt Design for a free quote today. Today's marketplace is very competitive and you need a professional web presence. Control Alt Design offers web design at a fraction of what the larger firms charge. Control Alt Design has been helping local businesses stand out on the web for over 20 years. They also offer logo design, business card design, flyers, brochures, and more. See their work today at ControlAltDesign.com. All right, welcome back to it.
Yes, have some.
It's the Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990, online, KWAMTheVoice.com. Also streaming live on YouTube, the YouTube channel, Nation of Jake. One word, run it all together, Nation of Jake. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I would appreciate that. That's the future. The future's online. Facebook and Twitter as well. All the old social media you can handle. All right, more on the Democrat debates. Who's going to make the cut for the next debates? And also, keeping it local, what about a mayoral debate? We'll talk about that in just a few. You know, I saw this article today, and listen, I am I'm scared enough about the future with robots taking everybody's jobs. That was one of the things in the debate, that Andrew Yang fella. Yeah, the Asian fella who wants to give everybody $1,000 a month. He cites automation and robots as the reason that he wants to give everybody $1,000 a month. Because robots are going to take your job. Not only are they going to take your job, they're also going to chase you down and fight you and then steal your medication. That's why you need the Old Glory robot insurance. Robots are going to cause all kinds of problems. They're already causing all kinds of problems. All right, our robot overlords are coming for us. It's disheartening. It's scary. But how would you like to find out that these robot dogs and backflipping robots and fighting robots, how would you like to find out that on top of being terrifying, they're also racist? Huh, yeah. That's what we need now. Racist robots. Well, at least one study has concluded that, yes, robots are probably racist. You see them in films like Will Smith's iRobot and Eve from WALL-E. I think her name is Eva, by the way. Real-life examples include Honda's Asimo, UBTEC's Walker, Boston Dynamics' Atlas, and even NASA's Valkyrie robot, all made of shiny white material. And some real-life humanoid robots are modeled after white celebrities, such as Audrey Hepburn and Scarlett Johansson. The reason for these shades of technological white may be racism, according to new research. Robots and Racism, a study conducted by the Human Interface Technology Laboratory in New Zealand and published by the country's University of Canterbury, suggests people perceive physically human-like robots to have a race and therefore apply racial stereotypes to white and black robots. That's right. These colors have been found to trigger social cues that determine how humans react to and behave toward other people and also apparently robots. The bias against black robots is a result of bias against African Americans, lead researcher Christoph Bartnek explained. He told CNN, "It's amazing to see how people who had no prior interactions with robots show racial bias towards them." Wow. Really? The researchers think this is an issue that needs to be addressed. If robots are supposed to function as teachers, friends, or carers, for instance, then it'll be a serious problem if all these roles are only ever occupied by robots that are radicalized as white. That's right. That's right. The robots are white because we're racist. It has nothing to do with maybe white material is cheaper, less expensive. Let's take t-shirts, for example. When you go to get t-shirts printed, do you know what the least expensive color t-shirt is? That's right. White t-shirts are the least expensive because there's less material used in making them. You don't have to use the dye. All right? That's what that boils down to. It's probably less expensive to make the robots white. How about other things that are white? Is mayonnaise racist? Mayonnaise is white, and everybody seems to love mayonnaise. Maybe that's an idea. Maybe you could spend a little bit more money, Hellmann's or Kraft, making the old mayonnaise. Maybe they could make a different shade mayonnaise for every race. Yeah, you just go to the grocery store, you hold your arm up to the mayonnaise that matches your skin color. That way, white mayonnaise won't be racist. Just like the white robots. Racist. Ridiculous. Somebody's getting paid to do these studies. All right, coming up, a mayoral debate. Is it going to happen? We'll see.
The Mid-South station with the most local talk and CBS News at the top of every hour. KWAM, Memphis.
This is CBS News on the hour. Real news, real reporting.
I'm Jim Sheneby. That budget deal reached between President Trump and House Democrats cleared the Senate today. Correspondent Steve Dorsey.
The two-year budget deal passed the Senate on a vote of 67 to 28. It now goes to the president for his signature. The White House negotiated the bill with House Democrats, which avoids the threat of another government shutdown. It also raises the country's debt limit.
What started as a rally on Wall Street today hit the skids after the president took to Twitter calling for new tariffs on China. CBS's Stephen Portnoy.
Stocks plunged the instant the president sent his tweets. 2 days of talks with China aimed at getting negotiations back on track ended badly this week, and Mr. Trump has responded with a vow to impose yet another round of tariffs. The new 10% levy would go into effect a month from now, even, he says, as negotiations continue. The president also accused China of not standing by its pledges to buy more U.S. agricultural products and curb fentanyl exports.
The Trump administration says it is still open to talks with North Korea.
In Bangkok, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said he's optimistic the negotiations with Pyongyang can resume before long.
We stand ready to continue our diplomatic conversation with the North Koreans.
His comments come just a day after North Korea launched short-range ballistic missiles, angry about upcoming military exercises between South Korea and the U.S. Cammie McCormick, CBS News, The Pentagon.
U.S. rapper A$AP Rocky testified today at his assault trial in Sweden, saying he did everything possible to avoid a confrontation with two men who had badgered his entourage in Stockholm trying to pick a fight. CBS's Roxana Saberi.
At the end of his testimony, he was asked if he had anything to add, and he said, yeah, basically, he's been told that if he wants, he can ask for damages or some kind of payment for the time that he's had to give up and the concerts that he's missed because he came here to put on some shows. But he says, I'm not asking for any money. I just want justice for me and justice for all of us.
The trial has caused a stir in Sweden after President Trump personally vouched for Rocky. Well, the fires are out. 1 person dead. 5 had to be treated at a hospital after a regional natural gas pipeline ruptured in Junction City, Kentucky. 6 structures set ablaze. The cause of the rupture unclear. Some residents had theorized a plane or train crashed into it. Emergency Management Director Don Gilliam.
Railroad tracks is in close proximity. We have an airport in close proximity. So I understand that, but we have nothing, no debris or any wreckage to indicate that a plane or a train was involved.
On Wall Street right now, the Dow down 270. This is CBS News.
The CBS World News Roundup Late Edition with Jim Chenevey.
President Trump held a series of meetings today on the border wall.
Every weeknight on the CBS Radio Network.
President Trump defines leadership. The first major tax reform in 30 years. Unemployment at an 18-year record low. Jobless claims lowest since 1973. The Dow Jones highest in history. Memorialize these milestone achievements from a historic presidency with the Trump 2020 Freedom Coin from Noble Gold. On one side, an image of Donald J. Trump. The other side lists all his major achievements. The commemorative 1-ounce coin is the only presidential Trump coin made of 99.9% silver, not silver plated, and it's IRA approved. As the price of silver rises, so will the value of these coins. These silver coins are less than $40 each and are a perfect gift for anyone. For a limited time, go to TrumpCoin2020.com. Use the code AMERICA to get $5 off each coin you order. Go to TrumpCoin2020.com and get your commemorative 2020 Freedom Coin today. Remember to use code AMERICA for $5 off each coin. That's TrumpCoin2020.com.
Video replay coming to British jousting tournaments. Vicky Barker reports.
Locking his visor down.
It's not a sport for sissies, galloping in full armor towards an opponent who, like you, is pointing a heavy wooden lance.
Yeah, you get a lot of bruises. Everyone's had breaks of their bones, but it's just one of those things.
Jouster Jeremy Richardson is appalled at the English heritage decision and wonders what his medieval forefathers would think.
They didn't have video referees.
Lance is down, double miss.
But then they didn't have public address systems either. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
Plant-based burgers are all the rage, touted as healthier than beef, but are they really? The vegan patties are made from soy, peas, coconut, other plants, and do contain less cholesterol and saturated fats than meat burgers, but nutritionists say they're also nearly as high in calories, about 5 times more sodium, and they're highly processed. Plant-based burgers also contain 3 to 9 grams of carbohydrates. Jim Chenevey, CBS News.
With the stock market at all-time highs, cash in your profits now and invest in an asset that can potentially pay for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-defined accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects. Call now to learn how you can potentially achieve 20 or more years of income and deduct 100% of every dollar invested against all forms of income. Call 1-800-803-8511. Invest in your future and buy oil. Encore is drilling in an area that is potentially one of the most prolific horizontal oil plays in the entire country. Oil prices are projected to rise, so you need to own a piece of an oil field. Encore Energy is the most active oil and gas operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 1-800-803-8511. You will be calling directly to the home office of Encore Energy. That's 1-800-803-8511. Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
Damn, boy, that's what I'm talking about, Jake. I've worked in the private sector. They expect results.
Welcome to the Nation of Jake on The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
All right, welcome back to it.
Yes, have some.
The Nation of Jake.
Yes, have some.
On The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. Online, KWAMTheVoice.com. Listen live link is in the top right corner. If you prefer video, you can catch the live stream on YouTube. The YouTube channel, Nation of Jake, one word, Nation of Jake. Also follow me on Facebook and on the Twitter. Coming up in a little bit, Ron Hart, nationally syndicated columnist. We'll talk to him about not just last night's Democrat debate, but also this economy. It's up and down, especially the stock market. Yesterday, the Fed announced an interest rate cut, and the stock market went down a little bit, rebounded this morning, and then just moments ago, Donald Trump announced 10% tariffs on $300 million worth of goods, or $3 billion, whatever it was. And then the stock market goes back down, erases all the gains from this morning. So Ron Hart is a financial guru. He will kind of take us through it and what it all means, and also we'll talk to him about his latest column. I believe he was talking today, or this week, about Mueller, which seems like a year ago. The Mueller hearings were just last week, and we're already on to other things here, mostly because of these debates. All right, 2-night debates. 20 presidential candidates have debated here in the last 48 hours, and there's a lot of takeaways. Now, one thing that I noticed about all the debaters last night, all the master debaters who were on stage, they kept on referring to legitimate questions about policy as Republican talking points. Like whenever they said something like, you're in favor of decriminalizing the border, Julian Castro, you say, well, that's a Republican talking point. And it's like, well, hold on a second. It's actually a question. You want to repeal part of the law which makes it illegal to cross the border. Do you or don't you? It's a Republican talking point. Or asking how you're going to pay for some sort of Medicare for all. It's a Republican talking point. It's like, this is a Democrat debate. There are no Republicans here tonight. All right, you guys are debating with each other. These are legitimate questions. Quit trying to blame the Republicans for everything at this point. You guys, you're in control here. So last night's debate, you had the big highlights. Pretty much, Joe Biden didn't hurt himself. He was up and down, but he's the front runner. He was getting attacked a lot. So he did well by coming out relatively unscathed. Cory Booker had a good night for him, which means he didn't come off as much of a phony as he usually does. Kamala Harris, not so good a night, because she got attacked by Tulsi Gabbard. Now, Tulsi Gabbard was the best-looking person on the stage. And I said it before, she's a 7 at my gym, but she's a knockout on that stage. I mean, she looks great compared to the other mutants up there last night. That said, her takedown of Kamala Harris, I thought was really good, holding Kamala Harris accountable for things that she just did. Now, these are not things that Kamala Harris did as a child. Kamala Harris, as recently as 2015, was putting people in jail for smoking marijuana, and then she herself is going on radio shows laughing about having smoked marijuana, saying, yeah, I'm Jamaican, of course I smoke pot. And then also there were some other things that Tulsi Gabbard brought up about withholding evidence, exculpatory evidence, evidence that would exonerate death row inmates. Kamala Harris did not want that to get out. She was keeping people on death row, people who didn't do it. That you have to answer for that if you did that in your last job. All right, so Tulsi Gabbard also said some dumb things. She accused the president of the United States of supporting Al-Qaeda. That's not, is that true? No. Where did she get that from? I'm not sure you can accuse the sitting president credibly of being on the same side as Al-Qaeda and get away with it. She got away with it, though. And she also said some really nice things about Bashar al-Assad. And Bashar al-Assad is the guy in Syria who kills his own people and is big buddies with Vlad Putin. So this is not a perfect candidate up there, all right, for anybody. It's definitely not for me. I will not be voting for any of those freaks. And honestly, we're going to see a lot fewer candidates coming up next month in Houston. They're going to have another 2-night debate. They might not need 2 nights, though. September 12th and 13th in Houston, only 7 candidates have met both qualifications to be on stage. Joe Biden, Cory Booker, Pete Buttigieg, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Beto O'Rourke. Now, they have to have 130,000 individual donors, plus they have to be polling at least 2% of support in 4 different polls. And so the cutoff, the deadline, is August 28th. So you got to look for Tulsi Gabbard to get a bump from last night. She'll probably be there. Maybe that Marianne Williamson lady from the night before, the dark psychic forces lady. All right, so 7 candidates, going from 20 candidates to 7. That'll be a different debate altogether, a different dynamic, and maybe we'll be able to talk a little bit more substance with these candidates. It's all just a freak show at this point because they've all come out in favor of stuff that I can't get behind, and most Americans won't either. The open borders and Green New Deals and free college and free health care. One thing we've got here in Memphis is a battle mayoral coming up. All right, and where are the debates, by the way? Where are the mayoral debates? In past years, I had a great time watching the mayoral debates. When Jim Strickland,
Mr. Strickland,
was running against A.C. Wharton, those were a lot of fun. Mike Williams from the Memphis Police Association was in there. Harold Collins, then on the city council, was running. So it was a nice crowded field, and the debates were fun to watch. The debates are usually on WMC Action News 5, and I believe they've actually announced that they are going to have a debate on September 19th at the University of Memphis. So there will be a battle mayoral debate coming up next month. But that's like, September 19th is like a week and a half before the election. That's when they're going to have the debates? Shouldn't they already be having like a series of debates over the future of Memphis? Stunning Jim Strickland has the Memphis Has Momentum. Willie Harrington says, let's do it again. Tammy Sawyer saying, we can't wait. Let's get them all in a room and debate. Hell, I'll have them on this radio show. All 3 of them. And they can debate. But here's the thing about a mayoral debate. You can't just have those 3. You can't just have Strickland, Harrington, and Sawyer. They get the most ink. Well, who's to say that LaMichael Wilson doesn't have some good ideas for the city? Leo Agawat. I want to hear from that guy. Pamela Moses is running, as is Prince Mongo. You can't leave Prince Mongo out of the debate. Dr. Sharon Webb. I notice she's not being called doctor much anymore. Sharon Webb. She has been in debates before as Dr. Sharon Webb, and it's always entertaining to hear what the good Dr. Sharon Webb has to say. Michael Everett Banks, whoever he is, he's running for mayor. And Terrence Boyce is running for mayor. Maybe some others. So I don't think that you should just have those 3 candidates who get the most ink. The name recognition of a Strickland, a Harrington, or a Slammin' Tammy Sawyer. I think you should have to include everybody. Because this is for the city. Everybody should have a voice, right? So look for the mayoral debates here on September 19th. That's just, come on. September 19th? They should be doing these already. Why just one debate like 10 or 12 days out from the October 3rd city elections? That, to me, that just kind of goes to show just how haphazard all this is. You would be having debates. You'd be having the Daily Memphian, maybe have a debate podcast. KWAM, that's what we need. Earl could probably help me set this up. Earl, you've got ties to City Hall. You know these. You've been around a long time. So Earl's giving me the thumbs up. He's going to help me organize it. We can have a debate. It could be like in the 2 o'clock hour of my show and spill over into the 3 o'clock hour of Earl's show. Earl and I could be moderators for the debate. It'd be a lot of fun. I'd love to have these guys on. Make it like a roundtable discussion. You know, we wouldn't get into the whole debate format with cutting people off and everything, but we'd have this roundtable discussion with all the candidates. That said, I am looking forward to the televised debates. WMC Action News 5, they do a pretty good job with what they got when they do these debates. You know, they'll take the remote people out there and they'll have their camera set up. But let's not lie to ourselves. It's still local TV, and a lot goes wrong on local TV. Last debate I remember watching, Joe Birch was very close to, don't make me get out of this chair, because people, please hold your applause, please, audience, please. It was like a substitute teacher who had lost control of the class. Oh, man, it was awesome. So, yeah, Conji Anthony and Joe Birch just weren't having it. Audience members, please, I'm warning you. Any more outbursts and I will kick you out of the debate. It's fantastic. So, yeah, I can't wait. September 19th. Ryan Poe, who I'm kind of buddies with over at the CA, he has a column today that Memphis deserves a debate. And if that's the case, if Memphis deserves a debate, if it's about dessert, then we also deserve to hear from every one of those candidates running. Do not give me a debate with just Strickland and Harrington and Sawyer. All right, because everybody else running who's pulled a petition, who's gotten the signatures, they deserve to be on the debate stage too. Do not give me a debate without Prince Mongo. Do not give me a Memphis mayoral debate, I repeat, without Prince Mongo on that stage. He belongs on that stage. You need him on that stage to be legit. If not, it's totally bogus. Bunk. Illegitimate. All right, coming up, we got Ron Hart, nationally syndicated columnist. We'll get his take on last night's debates, and also what's going on with the stock market and the economy. What's the outlook for all this? We'll talk to Ron next, right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Planning for retirement can be confusing and overwhelming. Tune in to the Servant Retirement Show to hear the current news and events today's retirees need to know. Every Saturday morning at 8 on KWAM, The Voice, AM 990. If you want to talk to Dan Groban or Philip Menard today about your retirement plans, call the team at Servant Advisors Group, 855-260-1000. That's 855-260-1000. Get started on the path toward a comfortable retirement today. 855-260-1000.
When's the last time you looked at the windows in your house? Not through the windows, but at the windows. Really looked at them. There's dirt, streaks, buildup, smudges, fingerprints, paw prints, spider webs, dead bugs. There's little white speckles. I have no idea what they are, and who knows what else. Now, cleaning all the windows in your house makes a big difference, but it's also a big job. That's why you need Just Windows Home Services. Just Windows has been taking the pain out of window cleaning since 1992. Just Windows cleans all types of windows, storm windows, screens, skylights, interior, exterior, upstairs and down. Now, I know I told you the company is called Just Windows Home Services, but they do a lot more. Roof and gutter cleaning, pressure washing, mirrors, blinds, ceiling fans, light fixtures, chandeliers. Look, if you've got hard to reach areas of the house, then you need Just Windows Home Services. Call for a free estimate, 751-3934. That's 751-3934, or get them online at justwindowsmemphis.com. That's justwindowsmemphis.com.
Is it a good time to buy or refi? Is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Are interest rates going sky high soon? Hi, I'm Ludi Calloway, the mortgage lady at iBank Mortgage. I tell my customers to ask questions, get answers. So join me every Monday morning at 8 and I will tell you what's going on in today's still changing mortgage world. Remember, most people think about mortgages a few times in their lives. I think about them every single day. Tune in Mondays at 8.
If you're in need of a professional cleaning service that takes your business as seriously as you do, call Jan Pro Cleaning Systems today. They understand how important it is to establish and maintain a professional image. That's why they offer the Jan Pro Signature Clean and the Jan Pro Guarantee. From regular scheduled cleaning to the tough stuff like stripping and waxing, buffing, carpet extractions, and detail cleaning, Jan Pro does it all. Call today for a free, no-obligation quote. 901-683-4900. Insured and bonded for your protection. Jan Pro Cleaning Systems. Measurable cleaning, guaranteed results.
This is a public service announcement test from TakeMeFishing.org to determine if you need a fishing license and boat registration before heading out on the water. Let us begin. Are you a bear? Do you have a beak? Do you have plumage? Please tell me you answered no, which means you need to get a fishing license and have your boat registered, because it helps local conservation efforts protect the very natural resources you enjoy boating and fishing in for generations to come. Do your part at TakeMeFishing.org.
All right, welcome back to it.
Yes, have some.
The Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. We're online, KWAMTheVoice.com. If you prefer the video format, we've got the video content. The YouTube channel, Nation of Jake. One word, run it all together, Nation of Jake. Facebook and Twitter at Nation of Jake as well. It's Shark Week, which I'm kind of ashamed of myself. It's Thursday, and I hadn't even talked about Shark Week. It's mostly because, to me, every week is Shark Week. It's not that big a deal to me, but it was pointed out last night by my kids. They're like, why are you watching these boring old people talk on TV, Dad, at Shark Week? I'm like, you're right. So I've got coming up a relic of Shark Week's past. And we'll do that in a little bit, as well as the news crews. Right now, we always like to check in with my main man, nationally syndicated columnist Ron Hart in the Nation of Jake. What's up, Ron? You okay, buddy?
I always tell the young people out there, they ask for advice, they always come to me and they say, hey, you're still alive, and they poke me, make sure I'm alive. Then they say, do you have any advice? And I always say to them, live every week like it's Shark Week.
Yes, I do that. I took that advice, and it's done well for me. I appreciate it. Oh, we need some other.
Do that.
We need some other advice from you, Ron. Yesterday, the Fed cut interest rates, and the stock market went down. And I'm like, what? I thought the stock market was going to explode, but I had no idea what to make of it, and I figured I would just ask you when you were on the phone today. What's going on with the stock market, with interest rates, and now these tariffs? What's happening?
The stock market is an amalgamation of the present value of all expectations, right? So when expectations change, like the cuts weren't as big or long-lasting, or perhaps the language that Jerome Powell, who is the Fed chairman right now, said, basically, it scared people, like, hey, maybe they're not going to be quite cut as much as they think they're going to cut, et cetera. And so low interest rates are good for everybody, because the reason low interest rates are good is that when you're thinking about putting money in the stock market versus a bond, when I came out of college, rates were like 17%, and said, hey, give me some of that. 17% is good for me. I'll buy a bond, get 17%. But now rates are 2%, so people are willing to, hey, it's not quite enough for me. I'm going to go to the stock market. And it helps the stock market when rates are low. So the Fed has kind of kept rates artificially low, and it's good for the economy, good for Trump. It was really good for Obama. Obama came in, they cut rates the entirety of his 8 years, which helped his administration. And they raised them a little bit early in Trump's tenure, and they're basically going to start kind of lowering them a little bit more, going down to the election. So
yeah, in the Obama administration, a few things, and this is just like a guy like just using his best rational mind to make sense of it all. During the Obama administration, something always kind of confused me. You had an economy that was not recovering at the rate. Remember, the recovery summer took like 4 years. And it wasn't very good, the economy, but the stock market was making all these insane gains. And so I kind of surmised, put together on my own, that you were doing this quantitative easing. You were printing a bunch of money, and then you were keeping Fed interest rates artificially low. And so all that money that was being printed essentially by Ben Bernanke when he was running the show, that money was all like finding its way into the stock market. And so you had this artificially inflated stock market. But then when you look, it's usually kind of the bellwether for how the economy's doing, but you had this bad economy. You had this high unemployment. you had these bad jobs numbers, and it never. That's why when I look at the stock market and how it relates to the economy, it's kind of messed me up a little bit. I'm like, is this supposed to happen this way?
Eventually, the rates will kind of find an equilibrium. But you think about who does low rates benefit the most? It's not you and me with our $200,000 mortgage. It's the federal government with their $20 trillion deficit.
Sure.
Right? So they're the ones borrowing at these rates. So, of course, they want to keep rates low. And they artificially keep them low by just printing money and doing artificial things. So it's kind of big, I guess, good for the economy. I guess to have low rates, it encourages business people to start a business, borrow money, go forward. It is good versus high rates, but it's really not the real price of money. It's the artificial price of money kept there by the feds, who are, again, the biggest borrowers out there. So, and Trump didn't want rates to rise on him because that tends to slow the economy. When you raise rates, it's like tapping the brakes on the economy. When you lower rates, it's like putting gas, hitting the accelerator on the economy. So lower rates are generally better. So you go to your 401k, you say, okay, there's a bond fund that yields 3%, but I can get in the stock fund that has 2% dividends plus a chance for like 7% gains. I think I'll just do stocks. And that's the decision people make across America every day.
All right, and then today we got the news, Ron Hart, that President Trump has decided to levy a 10% tariff on $300 billion in Chinese imports. So, I mean, is this the timing is that, okay, he got his rate cut, so that should give a boost to the economy. Now he's even a better chance to kind of withstand getting back in this trade war with China. I mean, is it timing everything here? Yeah,
timing is everything. The strong economy is a good time to take on China. I'm a free trader, but the truth is China's not trading free. They manufacture the rates of their currency over there, the yuan, and they keep it artificially low. The reason they keep it low is that when it's low, there's more demand. If the dollar is stronger than the yuan, you get more Chinese goods, right? So the dollar is strong and the yuan is cheap. You buy more of their goods, which keeps all the proletariat, all the agrarian people, all the people in the manufacturing plants busy, with jobs. What Xi does not want to happen is have an uprising. When an uprising comes when there's not money flowing to the country. So they artificially deflate the value of the yuan. So and they beat us on exports. They tax. They put tariffs on our goods like 25%, and we charge them 10% on their goods. So we can't really ship anything into them, and they only export to us. We've enjoyed it for years. Look at Dollar General, Walmart, all these stores that pop up everywhere. Fred's is based there in Memphis. All that stuff's from China.
Right.
And the jobs are there. Except they pay people they pay child labor wages. They devastate the environment and they create these goods. And America's been willing to make that trade for years. And hey, you just devastate your economy, your environment. You exploit workers, but we get $8 pair of jeans.
Right.
So that's how we.
It's on you, China. All right. What did you think of the debates last night? Did you take any time to check it out?
Yeah, I watched it for a little while. And there's a group on the debates last night, is a group of negative people, and there's no vision, there's no optimism, right? The Democrat Party is an amalgamation of basically victims, and they sit there and just whine about how people have been victimized. It's not the world I live in. I don't live around people that are victims. I mean, I don't like to be around people. I mean, I don't want to be a victim. So they basically have conjured up they want to get 51% of the nation who feels like they're victims, who will vote for their angry message, which is not empowering, it's not noble, it's not heroic. It's just like, you've been screwed over, and we're here to get the man to take some money back and create Venezuela or Cuba or North Korea for you, and we're going to get you some money in the near term because you're okay, and these people that are successful stink. And that's kind of the message. Nothing new, nothing workable, just a bunch of angry people. I thought it was, at least Obama, I have to say to his credit, had an optimistic message, and I kind of wanted to believe in him. I thought he could do some things that he did not do, but at least he had an optimistic message. I saw no optimism last night.
Well, and speaking of Barack Obama, they were all just slamming his whole legacy. I mean, the whole time they're sitting there talking about how bad the healthcare industry is and how terrible the healthcare scene is now, how bad Obamacare is, because that's what we have now, is the Affordable Care Act. And they were talking about how people can't afford the care. It was an indictment of Obamacare for the first, 30, 45 minutes of the debate. And you're just thinking, hold on, didn't they pass like a big bill to fix this like less than 10 years ago? And so you're just like, wait a second. What? And then the immigration stuff. And that's
yeah,
like
it's like the VA. The government's the only thing in America that's bad that get more money. So if you're a corporation, you're making big buggy whips, you're really losing money. The corporation doesn't fund you further; they shut you down, right?
Correct.
But the government, the VA doesn't work. Obamacare doesn't work. All these agencies don't work. When they don't work, what they do is give you more money to make it not work.
Yeah.
So I mean, so they throw money at kids. Well, as long as it didn't work, it was a bad idea. As long as it didn't work, there was enough money to do it. So they give more money to bad ideas. So it's an awful dynamic. These are awful people. No one inspires me. I like Mayor Pete. If I had to vote for, we put a gun to my head and told me to vote for one of them, I'd probably tell you to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there's five of them up there, if the poker hand, I'd fold.
Well, and that's just it. Like, when I look at all these candidates and I say to myself, okay, who could I live with here? It's the people who have no shot. It's the Tom Delaney's. It's the Michael Bennett's. It's the guys who are actually asking the right questions. Last night, Michael Bennett, who's a senator from Colorado, he talks like he got hit with a tranquilizer dart in the neck. He's over there going, how are you going to pay for this stuff? And we need to be talking about how we're going to pay for it. But he's right in that we're talking about $30 trillion. He said that's 70%. That's 70% of all the money the federal government will take in the next 10 years is $32 trillion. And so putting that kind of perspective, and when somebody like that on that stage brings that up, they just get batted down. Like, how dare you talk about what things cost? We're Democrats. And for me, that's a non-starter.
Right. I could live with Tulsi Gabbard, but I would move in with her next week if possible. But
yeah, I was talking about Tulsi, man. She's a 7 at my gym, and she's Miss America on that stage. I mean,
you're right.
She's
a reasonable person. I mean, she'll get hooted off the stage at some point. So she's from Hawaii, and Trump will congratulate her. If elected, she'll be the first president in our country from Hawaii.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, she will be, won't she? Yeah. So,
think about it.
Yeah, right. We've got to think real hard about it. So, and with her, she had a moment last night where she called out Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris is a prosecutor there in California, and she put a lot of people in jail for smoking weed, and she was adamant about keeping weed illegal out there, marijuana illegal in California, and then she turns around and laughs about having smoked weed before, and now, because it's politically expedient, she's running for president, she's for the decriminalization. Yeah. And so Tulsi Gabbard put her in her place, and I don't think that she's going to recover from it.
Well, she also says she listened to Tupac in college, and it turns out Tupac didn't do his first song until about 7 years after she got out of college.
I was saying, Tupac was still dancing with the Humpty Dance in Digital Underground at the time that she was claiming to have listened.
She was bragging about smoking pot. It's kind of funny how politics turned, Jake, because about 10 years ago, Clinton ran away from smoking weed, so he didn't inhale.
Right.
Bush, they didn't inhale. Now everybody's running, so I smoked it. They're making up. They didn't even smoke it. And they say they did. So it's kind of funny how that's all changed.
Yeah, since Obama was in the Choom Gang, in college, when he was in the Choom Gang, getting high, it's more socially acceptable. But you're right. I mean, now people are like, oh, yeah, I smoked a lot of the weed. I did a lot of the pot. And
when in reality, they really didn't.
Right.
And Tupac and all this other stuff they really didn't do. So that's an interesting cultural dynamic right there.
Well, and how about this? We're talking about the presidential debates from last night. And just last week, the hearing of the century of the week was Robert Mueller. That seems like a year ago, bro.
Yeah, it does.
It did get brought up. Ron, it did not get brought up not once in the past 2 nights. The Mueller hearings or Russian meddling, nothing got brought up about that.
Yeah, that landlord. He was supposed to be like the Zeus, supposed to be bringing fire and thunder upon Trump, and all he brought was fog.
Right.
It was awful. I mean, it was just anticlimactic. And the reality is, Sean Hannity reported last night that they're going after Comey. These guys completely it's almost like pulling somebody over and putting pot in their trunk or cocaine in their trunk. They pretty much framed Trump. I mean, this whole FISA warrant based off the Steele dossier, which was paid for by Hillary and the DNC. You talk about Russian collusion. That's the collusion. I mean, they colluded with the Russians to plant this fake dossier, which began this FISA warrants, which began this Fourth Amendment atrocity on American citizens, which put this country in a 2-year quandary: $45 million, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 search warrants. I mean, you ruined a lot of people's lives over your own little game. What a mean way to go through life. And the Democrats are that way. That you see them on the stage last night. There are a bunch of angry people who want to use government to get back at people.
Yeah, they talk about the soul of America and who we are as a people. And when I look at those 10 people on stage, I'm like, well, I know that I'm not you. Like,
right.
you know, I don't want
McCarthy would be proud.
Right. Yeah. So I just looked up there and I'm just like, none of these people represent me as an individual. And any candidate, well, they never do. They can't because they want to represent the collective. They want to represent a voting bloc and stay in power forever. So anyway,
it's a group of aggrieved classes. They bifurcate everybody into different victimization classes. And if you're in Memphis and you're viewed as a victim, they tell you you're a victim. Do you really want to be a victim? And why don't you be strong? Step up.
Well, there's too many exceptions to the rule.
Democrat.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, every rule they put out there with hey, you're part of this victim class. There's always too many exceptions to the rule. Like every time I read about how all the kids in Memphis City schools or the Shelby County schools now, how they're not getting good education. I'm like, oh yeah, really? What about the valedictorian who got $5 million in scholarships? Like you don't have to be that guy, but maybe you could get, I don't know, $100,000 in scholarships, or maybe you could just get like a scholarship, or maybe you could just like, I don't know, not rob and rape people and just like, get through high school and then go get a good job and have a decent life. Maybe you could do that.
Baltimore and Memphis, Detroit, there's a lot of the same problems there. You got long-time Democrat city councils that run those towns, and this, I think Memphis has to really rethink, who you're electing and why you're electing, and have they done you any good? Have they improved your lot in life? And I don't think they really have. And much like Baltimore, Trump said it's a terrible place to live. And with all the gun violence there's fewer people living there because getting shot. So, I mean, these cities have to really think. Memphis, among them, I live there and love Memphis, so, I have a special place in my heart for Memphis. But you got to really think about who you're electing and what have they done for you, the Steve Cohens of the world. Has Memphis gotten better under Steve Cohen? No. Has it gotten better under his Democrat leadership? No. I mean, they gave $1.8 billion to Baltimore, and that's like $3,000 per person. And Obama did it under the stimulus bill. They've done nothing for that town.
Yeah,
it doesn't do anything. So
the whole Baltimore thing that's another segment. We could go on and on about the whole Baltimore controversy from earlier this week. It boils down to this: Donald Trump did not say about Baltimore anything that Elijah Cummings has not said about Baltimore.
Right, and I didn't know rats had a race. And apparently, rats he says because rat infested is a racial term.
Yeah, well, it gives new meaning to the.
I didn't know what race of rats were.
Well, it gives a new meaning to the phrase rat race. We say it's a rat race, and I guess that's what they're referring to at least now, because everything.
With all these people is, look, if your city's no better than mine, if you've done something well, we'll pay attention to you. But if you're from a terrible city, like like the woman in Minneapolis and places these bad districts, and you've had 50 years of Democrat rule, and you've not gotten better, don't bring your ideas here. They're terrible.
Yeah, try something different. Just try something different. All right. Yeah. Ron Hart, nationally syndicated columnist. You get him online there. You can go Google Ron Hart. He's the first guy who comes up. Ron, we'll talk to you next week, my man.
All right, buddy.
There you go. Ron Hart in the Nation of Jake. We've got the news cruise, a lot of headlines, and we'll do that next.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
CBS News update. By a vote of 67 to 28, the Senate easily approving the House-passed budget deal endorsed by President Trump, even as critics called it fiscally irresponsible for raising the nation's debt ceiling. GOP leader Mitch McConnell.
Given the exigencies of a divided government, we knew that any bipartisan agreement on funding levels would not appear perfect to either side. But the administration negotiated a strong deal.
Correspondent Steve Dorsey.
The budget deal avoids another government shutdown, but also increases spending on domestic programs championed by Democrats. But Kentucky Republican Rand Paul says the bill will add hundreds of billions of dollars to the country's debt.
This may well be the most fiscally irresponsible thing we've done in the history of the United States.
Steve Dorsey, CBS News, Washington.
Well, the president called the deal phenomenal for the military, veterans, and as he put it, jobs, jobs, jobs. CBS News Update. I'm Jim Chenevey.
This is Clark Howard with a special warning for you if you have or a family or friend have a Ford Focus or Ford Fiesta. A lengthy, involved investigation by the Detroit Free Press has found that there are 1.5 million Ford Focus and Ford Fiesta models on the road with defective transmissions. These have led to a number of accidents with injuries as you lose control of the vehicle with it stalling out on a freeway or on its own going from a dead stop through an intersection, according to the research by the Detroit Free Press. Ford has not been very cooperative with people, according to the research of the Detroit Free Press, when you have a problem with it. I want you to know that you need to have the transmission properly addressed by Ford, fixed as it needs to be, so that you and your loved ones can be safe on the road.
Hey, Mike, how's the house coming along?
Needs a ton of work. The pipes are leaking. Needs a new roof. The AC just broke. I just don't have time to do it all myself. You know anyone?
Oh, just ask Home Advisor. They match you with the best local pros for any home project.
Cool.
Yeah, you can read reviews and book appointments online.
What's it cost?
Actually, Home Advisor is always free to use.
Nice. I'll check it out.
Go to HomeAdvisor.com or download the free app.
Home Advisor.
Have you heard what President Trump said recently?
Newsmax, you like Newsmax. I like it too.
Now you can watch Newsmax TV and get the truth about Trump from Bill O'Reilly, Mike Reagan, Alan Dershowitz, Pat Buchanan, and more. Newsmax TV is America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in 70 million homes. Find Newsmax on DirecTV, Dish, Xfinity, Spectrum, Optimum, Fios, Uverse, and more systems. See Newsmax TV today. It's real news for real people.
All right, welcome back to it.
Yes, have some.
The Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. Online, KWAMTheVoice.com. Okay, so we've got an Elvis auction going on. Online bidding starting on some Elvis memorabilia. Well, I've got some Elvis memorabilia that is exclusive to the Nation of Jake. Yeah, I'll tell the story. It aligns with Shark Week. We got Elvis and Shark Week. By the way, Elvis Week and Shark Week used to be the same week. Not anymore. Elvis Week is next month, or this month. It's August 1st. It used to be where Shark Week and Elvis Week were one and the same. Not anymore. And I've got the perfect Elvis relic that will bring the two back together here in the Nation of Jake. That's coming up in just a little bit. First, we need to jump on the news cruise. Yeah. A leisurely look at the headlines. We do it every day right here in the Nation of Jake.
News. Exciting and new. Come aboard. We're expecting you. The news cruise, full of exciting news. The news cruise, so relax and kick off your shoes.
All right, welcome aboard the news cruise. I don't care what Velvet Jimmy told you, singing there with the news cruise band. Don't kick off your shoes. We've got some fungus, has not yet been identified on the poop deck. So keep your shoes on, all right? Just keep them on. Don't take them off. Don't kick them off. Not until further notice. The news cruise is brought to you by our friends at Just Windows Home Services. You can get them online, justwindowsmemphis.com. You can also call them 751-3934 for a free estimate, and you can get 20% off that free estimate. You tell them the Nation of Jake sent you. Now they can do windows. They can clean your blinds, your ceiling fans, chandeliers, pressure wash your pool deck, pressure wash your walkways, pressure wash your wooden deck, and clean your gutters. They do all kinds of stuff. Anything you need done around the house you don't feel comfortable with, or it's up too high, like on your roof, the guys at Just Windows Home Services can help you. 751-3934. First up here in the news cruise, a police report details the incident involving the Walmart shooting suspect, Martez Abram, who allegedly showed his knife to a coworker. All right, Martez Abram, age 39, is accused of shooting and killing two coworkers at the Goodman Road, South Haven Walmart on Tuesday morning. Investigators said hours after the shooting, Abram was recently suspended after showing a coworker a knife. Two guys, according to this report, Abram and the victim, argued over who moved inventory they were putting on display. Report says surveillance video showed the pair talking before Abram lifted his shirt and showed the victim a hunting knife that was tucked into his waistband. According to the report, Abram did not pull his knife or make threatening statements or gestures, but the complainant did not wish to press charges, but they wanted the incident documented. And so after that incident, he was suspended, and then a day later, he came back with a firearm and decided to shoot two people at the South Haven Walmart. That's the latest in the South Haven Walmart shooting. We have a report after last week's WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational, big golf tournament, which was won by Brooks Koepka. One of the golfers, a Danishman named Thorbjorn Olesen, which if you were going to make up a story about a guy from Denmark, you would name him Thorbjorn Olesen. All right, turns out that he got into a little bit of trouble. He got arrested, did Thorbjorn Olesen. He shot a 75 in the WGC and then got on a plane back to Europe, and he got drunk and verbally abusive. And then a report says he urinated in the first-class aisle of the British Airways plane, and then he made a pass at a female passenger and is being investigated for sexually assaulting a female passenger who was sleeping. That is not a good look for you, my Danish friend, Thorbjorn Olesen. He's going to be in a whole lot of trouble over these allegations. So I don't see him back at the WGC in 2020. The restaurant group that owns Babalu has filed for bankruptcy. You know, Babalu, they got one in Broverton Square. They've also got one out east, Poplar and Massey, that area, next to the Backyard Burger that used to be a Kenny Rogers Roasters. Right next door is a Babalu. Babalu is owned by Eat Here Brands Restaurant Group. They opened 9 restaurants under the name Babalu in the last decade. They've filed for bankruptcy, and I guess I can only say that it's because of Babalu, by the way. It's a place that's tapas place. Not a topless place, but like a tapas place. Small plates.
Tapas.
Yes. Tapas? I don't know. If that's Mexican, then it's tapas.
It's actually...
Is it tapas?
Spain.
Spain, still. If Spaniard, when you speak Spaniard, the A is an A. So tapas or tapas. Either way, they give you these small plates, but they charge you for a full meal.
Price, yeah.
Yeah, they charge you for big plates, but they give you these small plates.
This
so
is
you got to order a bunch of them.
This is America.
And then I don't like that style at all. I order a $12 plate of meat, and it's like the size of a saucer that I would put a teacup on. And they say, "Oh, it's tapas or tapas. It's small plates." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's overpriced. Small plates is code for overpriced." And so because of that, they're going bankrupt. And I don't care. I got dragged to that place one time, and I paid way too money to eat just a little bit of meat. And it was like, it's garbage. So, no. Give me a noodle bowl place over the tapas place anytime. Oh, we've got a escaped inmate in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Authorities are looking for 2 inmates who escaped from an Arkansas jail, one of which is the leader of a white supremacist gang, Wesley Gullett. That just sounds like a troublemaker. Wes Gullett, member of the New Aryan Empire, was being held in the Jefferson County Jail on weapons charges, and then he got out with his buddy Christopher Sanders, and they are considered armed and dangerous. So if you see a white supremacist with a bunch of neck tattoos, it's probably not him. That said, be cautious. See something, say something. And then the rest of these headlines are kind of crazy. Woodstock 50 has been canceled altogether. Well, if they're trying to recapture the magic of Woodstock in year of our Lord 2019, it's not going to happen. They had this, it was going to be in New York, and then it was going to be in Virginia, and then all the acts started bailing out, going, yeah, the Woodstock brand is not what we're about anymore, so you guys can't keep it together. So the whole thing's off. Seriously, like the only Woodstock that mattered was that first one with all these naked hippies up in Saugerties or White Plains, New York, or the hell it was, and that was like a moment. And they should have just left it to be that, the legendary concert it was, because then they got Green Day in 1994 at Woodstock 25 throwing mud at each other. And then in 1999, the 30th anniversary, they had Metallica and Limp Bizkit and a bunch of sexual assault happening. And it kind of tarnished the legacy of the Woodstock. Oh, remember that story last week about the Arizona body farm? And the people said that there were body parts like sewn together like Frankenstein and like a cooler full of male genitalia or genitals. Disgusting, right? Well, it turns out that an Arizona man says a body donation center where FBI agents went and raided. They said that they used his mother's body for blast testing. Yeah, that they donated his mom's body to science, I guess, where it was sold to the U.S. Army for blast testing. That's awful. When I was growing up every summer on the Gulf Coast, we used to take firecrackers and put them in dead fish and then throw them at people and the fish would explode like fish bombs. This is way worse. This is way worse than blowing up dead fish is blowing up somebody's dead grandmother. I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny, but it's a little bit. It's just, I'm incredulous. If I giggle, it's because I can't believe it that somebody would blow up somebody's dead grandmother. Okay, we've got, I don't know, I gotta move on because I need to leave myself time for this relic that I've got from Elvis and Shark Week and Jaws. It's a long story, but I hope you stick around for it because it is fascinating. And we'll give you that story and wrap things up and get you set up for the Earl Farrell program next right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, stop. Don't do anything until you talk to my man, James Underwood. James Underwood has been helping people like you navigate the Mid-South real estate market for more than a decade. So whether you're looking to buy your first home or you want to upgrade to your forever home, James Underwood can help make it happen. No gimmicks, no guarantees, just a rock-solid guy that I've known for 25 years. So now, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, hit up James Underwood with CryLike. JamesUnderwood.crylike.com. That's JamesUnderwood.crylike.com.
I'm Ed Horrell, author of The Kindness Revolution. It's estimated that hundreds of thousands of children go to bed every night crying themselves to sleep because they're being bullied at school. If your child has told you that they're being bullied, take a minute to remember that it's taken a lot of courage for them to do that. Bullying is an enormous problem today in too many schools. We as parents need to be watching for signs and be willing to listen to our children. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
For expert service guaranteed, call 866-EXPERTS.
That's the number that could save you up to 30% on your energy bills. Call today and Service Experts Heating and Air Conditioning will hook you up with an AC tune-up. Right now, save $20 on an AC tune-up. Service Experts Heating and Air Conditioning, your hometown Memphis tune-up pros.
Call 866-EXPERTS.
See website for license details.
When you're planning an event and need on-time delivery, call Odell Sanders. Sanders Catering has been in business for 31 years, specializing in breakfast, lunch, dinners, corporate, and social events. When you need a caterer to work with your budget, call Odell Sanders at 901-372-2631 or visit them online at sanderscatering.com and take a look at their menu. Sanders Catering, a leader in catering services. Call today at 901-372-2631.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life, young adults of unique determination and experience, an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
All right, welcome back to it.
Yes, have some.
All right, it's the Nation of Jake on The Voice. You know where I am. You know where to find me. I don't have a lot of time, so I got to make this quick. Right now, it is Shark Week. That's right. I live every week like it's Shark Week. But I've got in my possession something that nobody else has. You won't hear it anywhere else. A long time ago, and this is a story that not even Earl Farrell knows. Okay, Earl, you got to pay attention here.
I'm listening.
This is one of these stories, okay? Shark Week and Elvis Week used to be one and the same. I called it Sharvis Week for a very good reason. People don't know this, but before Elvis died, he was approached by Universal Pictures for his comeback. His comeback was going to be to contribute to the soundtrack of the 1975 film Jaws. All right, this was 2 years before Elvis died. And so what part of the big comeback was going to pair Elvis with Steven Spielberg and come up with a song to be included in the Jaws soundtrack. They're going to loop in John Williams, who's done all those great soundtracks, Star Wars and Superman and Jaws. You know, the guy who's going to score it. And so Steven Spielberg had a conversation with Elvis Presley. And he said, I need you to write me a song for this film I'm doing about a shark. So Elvis said, all right, man, I'll get right back to you. And so Elvis goes and writes this song, presents it to Steven Spielberg and the board of directors there at Universal Pictures. And I have the audio. I've got the audio of that song. Are you ready for this? This is called Shark Attack, lost audio from Elvis Presley. And here it is.
I'm Martin Brody, I'm the chief of police. A mutilated body washed up on the beach. I called Matt Hooper and Captain Quint. This was no boating accident, shark attack. Everybody, shark attack.
It's brilliant.
If you're going to the beach, turn back. We're dealing with a shark attack. I've been slinging chum all afternoon. Captain Quint is shooting at it with a harpoon. How many barrels will it take to float? We're gonna need a bigger boat. Shark attack.
Tells the whole story.
Everybody, shark attack.
Some of Elvis's best work.
If you're going to the beach, turn back. We're dealing with a shark attack. I watched Captain Quint get eaten alive. Hooper disappeared on a deep sea dive. Now my trigger finger's starting to itch. Then I said, smile, you son of a bitch. Shark attack.
Yeah.
Say that. Everybody, shark
yeah, you
attack.
Can.
If you're going to the beach, turn back. We're dealing with a shark attack.
All right, so, I mean, look, Elvis and I'm guessing Sam Phillips got together. They produced it. They incorporated the John Williams score with that song that, I mean, just cohesively brings the whole movie together, tells the whole story. I'm Martin Brody. I'm the chief of police. And the whole deal. But you know what happened in the meetings after Elvis presented this song to Spielberg and Universal Pictures? They rejected it. They said, no, Elvis, this is not going to work for us. And then started a downward spiral of drug use. And Elvis, 2 years later, he just couldn't take it anymore. And so I think that contributed to the death of Elvis, was being rejected. Because Elvis, he didn't get rejected much.
No.
No, I mean, he surrounded himself with yes men. He had a lot of guys telling how great he was. But when he came face to face with Steven Spielberg and the guys over at Universal Pictures, he just couldn't handle it. He couldn't take it. But that's a gem. Now, that's something you're not going to get anywhere else.
I'd never heard that story before.
Well, now you have.
I have.
You have, and you've been tight with some of Elvis's inner circle.
That's right.
And they never told you about the Elvis comeback in the Jaws soundtrack.
Never mentioned that.
See, it's so weird because, I mean, I thought it was common knowledge. That's why Shark Week and Elvis Week were the same week for so long. And I guess this wine shanker dude comes into Graceland and says, you know what? Elvis is too big to be associated so closely with Shark Week. Forget Sharvis Week. No more. So this guy's got to start taking my advice. Number one, you get Discovery Channel to move Shark Week back to the same week as Elvis Week. And then you got to get with Lego. And if you could, honestly, that should be the first Lego Elvis movie, Earl. It should be the story of the shark attack. You could bring in Jaws, Lego Jaws, and Lego Elvis into this film, telling the story, this long-lost story with this lost audio.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Quentin Tarantino ain't got nothing on you.
Nothing. Nothing.
I mean, you can make up a story better than anybody.
I didn't make it up, Earl. What are you calling me a liar? God, yesterday you're stealing my cables before my show's over.
I gave it back.
And then you called a man a liar on his own show.
Never said you were a liar.
Well.
Great storyteller.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, Earl's up next. You won't be hearing that Shark Attack audio on the Earl Farrell show. I'll tell you that right now. I'll be back tomorrow at 1. Well, I can give it to you. You can play it. You call me a liar. So long, and thanks for all the fish.
KWAM, your news and information station with CBS News updates every hour on the hour. KWAM Memphis.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.
I'm Jim Sheneby. North Korea has done it again, conducting another launch, what appears to be the third volley of short-range missiles in a week's time. North Korea expert Gordon Chang.
The 4 sets of missile launches starting in May indicate